Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Lioz, and I'm the president, the chair of the board of directors of CMP Saskatchewan Media Production Industry Association. And we are the, for those who don't know us, we're the industry association in Saskatchewan for the film and TV production sector. I want to thank everyone for joining us today for this, what should be exciting presentation on the revamped feature film and TV program. And now I would like to turn it over to Tobi Lampard, Program Manager at Creative Saskatchewan, who will run us through the presentation. Take it away, Tobi.
Thank you so much, Leos. Okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen here, and hopefully everything goes all right. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see my screen. I'm happy to be here and to walk everybody through the feature film and television production program here at Creative Saskatchewan. As Leo said, my name is Tobi Lampard and I'm the program manager here at Creative Sask. So just before we start, we'd like to do a land acknowledgement. Creative Saskatchewan supports creative entrepreneurs through the entire province of Saskatchewan in treaties 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10, which encompasses the unceded territories of the Nuyahwak, Anishinaabe, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, Dene Nations, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. Okay, so what are we going to be talking about today? Here's our agenda. We're going to go over the program overview of the feature film and television production grant. What's new? Who's eligible to apply? Is your project ready to apply? How do you apply? Then we're going to hand it over to our friends at NSI, National Screen Institute, to talk about the upcoming crew training program. They're going to give us an overview, how to apply, and then we'll open it up to questions. So it's going to be a busy webinar here, but hopefully you'll have some great takeaways. All right, so what's new? The big news, of course, is the government of Saskatchewan announced an increase from 2 million to 10 million into the Creative Saskatchewan's production program when they announced the provincial budget. So what does this mean? Well, it means we have some program enhancements for our production grant. The first thing we've done is that we have a new name. It's called the Feature Film and Television Production Grant. Previously, it was two separate grants. If you had television, you'd apply to the television grant. And if you had a feature film, you'd apply to a different program, the Feature Film Production Grant. Now it's just one grant. If you have a feature film or a television project or series, you just apply to the Feature Film and Television Production Grant. Also, with the announcement of the increase, the financial participation threshold was increased from 600,000 to 5 million per project. So that is quite a substantial increase. When we get to the financial participation, there are two streams of funding. There's the Saskatchewan stream, which is a base of 30% of all eligible Saskatchewan expenditures up to a maximum of $5 million per project. And then we have a service stream. The service stream is a maximum of 25% of all eligible expenditures up to a maximum of $5 million. Sorry about that. We're going to dive into what is an eligible Saskatchewan expenditure a little further on. Okay, so just to get a sense of what is the difference between these two streams. The Saskatchewan stream, the applicant must be the owner or co-owner of the project. And what does that mean? Basically, they must control a share of the copyright proportional to Creative Saskatchewan's financial investment. Compared to the service productions stream, which is a base of 25% of all eligible Saskatchewan expenditures, but there's no copyright or ownership requirement in the production. You just have to have a service production agreement with the company that you're working with. So that's the main two differences between the streams. There's also new bonuses, and this is something new to Creative Saskatchewan. We're very excited to be having these bonuses for productions. We've got a 10% frequent filming bonuses for eligible productions, where applicants complete 3 or more eligible productions per year in Saskatchewan. And there's going to be more details about that coming in on the website soon. We have a rural bonus for productions filming 50 kilometers outside Regina or Saskatoon. And we've got a 5% Saskatchewan post-production bonus. With all of these streams, if you're in the Saskatchewan stream, you can stack the bonuses up until 40% of eligible Saskatchewan expenditures. So if you're shooting outside Saskatchewan, the majority of it, plus you're doing post-production, that's 10% added to the base incentive. So the base incentive for the Saskatchewan stream is 30%. That makes 40% of eligible expenditures. And for the service stream, the base is 25%, and you could go up to 35% of eligible Saskatchewan expenditures. Okay, so what qualifies in it as an eligible Saskatchewan expenditure? All expenditures where goods and services have been purchased and consumed in Saskatchewan. Excuse me, labor must be paid out to an individual who is a resident of Saskatchewan by December 31st of the previous year of production. Excuse me, and labor individuals have to complete a residency form, which is available on the online system. Labor, of course, has to be meet industry standards and be expenses that meet production recognized by the production community, basically crew. And of course, there's going to be more details online at creativesas.ca if you have questions about what does make an eligible Saskatchewan expenditure. Okay, who's eligible to apply? Eligible applicants have to be in good standing with Creative Saskatchewan, have to be incorporated and registered in Saskatchewan, and a substantial ownership with Saskatchewan residents. And there are more details in the general program guidelines as well as the guidelines. So I encourage you to check that out to make sure that you are an eligible corporation and you're eligible to apply to the program. What type of productions are eligible? Well, feature films, of course. We have dramatic and non-dramatic feature films, animated feature films, eligible productions. It's a wide swath of productions. You can have dramatic, non-dramatic, documentary, series, mini-series, movie of the week, children, youth, animated, and so on. So if you have any questions about if you are eligible, reach out to Creative SAS. We're always happy to walk you through it if you have any questions. The other aspect is co-productions and co-ventures are eligible. So if you're looking at co-productions and co-ventures, again, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to make sure that that you're eligible to apply to the program. We have a list of ineligible productions, and they're all in the guidelines. Here's a slide just sort of summarizing what is ineligible, but they're all listed in the guidelines as well. So I encourage you to check that out. Okay, is your project ready to apply? Okay, this is a pretty critical question. Basically, productions must demonstrate interest from other agencies or relative market triggers of a minimum of 20% of the eligible production costs. So for television, you could be working with a broadcaster and have a broadcast license. Also working with the Canadian Media Fund. For feature film, you might be working with Telefilm, or you have a distribution advance. But those are examples of market triggers for the program, and they have to be at a minimum of 20%. So if you have any questions about that, again, reach out to us. There are some exceptions to this. You do have to speak to a program officer or someone in the program team, or read the guidelines to talk about those exceptions. Okay. The producers, when you're ready to apply, producers must have written evidence of a minimum of 50% of confirmed financing for the projects with budgets under $1 million. If your project budget is over $1 million, you have to have 70% of confirmed financing in place. When you're making that calculation, you can include the Creative Saskatchewan production grant, as well as federal tax calculations. So if you're trying to assess whether you're ready to make an application, you can include those two the Creative Sask Production Grant and the federal tax credit to make it up to the 50% of confirmed financing for under $1 million and 70% for over $1 million. When you apply and if you meet that criteria, you'll get a short form agreement from Creative Saskatchewan. You have to have met all the criteria. Once the short form agreement is met, there'll be preconditions. The preconditions, you'll have a limited time frame to fulfill any preconditions before we enter into a long form agreement. And I wanted to bring to your attention the two key preconditions are that your production is 100% financed and the beginning of principal photography. So what we're trying to do here is try to help you navigate. Are you ready to apply? Is your production ready to apply? As we all know, if you've made grant applications before, it takes a lot of time and effort to make these applications. So if we can help you try to help you to apply at the right time, you'll save a lot of time. One note, is it too late for your production to apply? The only caveat we have is applications must be received prior to the completion of principal photography. So that is important to know. If you've completed your principal photography, then it is too late to apply to this program. So just to keep that in mind. Okay, how do we assess these? Once Creative Sask gets an application, how are they assessed with the agency? So first of all, applications are assessed internally to ensure the project and applicant meet the criteria for the program. So it's not juried, it's internally assessed to meet the eligibility. We do have priority. So priority for dramatic projects that meet that the majority of the principal photography takes place in Saskatchewan, and productions that have a high economic output. So it doesn't all have to film in the province. It can also have a high economic output for post-production, or if you have a few days, but there's a big economic impact for the province, that is taken into consideration. For documentaries, we look at 75% of the post-production occurring in Saskatchewan, and we're looking at productions that have, again, high economic outputs for the province. Any applications that don't meet this high priority will be determined as low priority and will be waitlisted until January 31st, 2023. And at that time, we reach out to eligible producers and productions to see if they're still interested in using the production grant. Okay, so I'm going to recap. You want to make sure you read the guidelines, get a strong cup of coffee, strong cup of tea, read those guidelines, invest that time. It'll save time in the long run. The guidelines are available on our website, creativesask.ca. And you want to make sure that you're familiar with them, and at any time reach out to Creative Saskatchewan. You want to make sure that you're eligible, you're a Saskatchewan corporation, and again, read those guidelines to make sure that you're all in line. Is your production eligible? Do you have a written market trigger at a 20% of eligible production costs? If these questions are going well, you know what? It might be time to apply to the program. You also want to ask yourself how much of the production financing is in place. Do you have 50% of your production financing in place for under $1 million, or 70% for over $1 million? You also want to ask yourself which stream is a fit for your production. Is it the Saskatchewan stream or the service stream? You want to ensure that you have a complete chain of title if you're going for the Saskatchewan stream, or if you've got a service producer agreement, because that will be required as well. You want to ask yourself, does your project qualify for any bonuses? And how does that affect your ask to the Creative Saskatchewan production program? Now you've done all that, you've asked yourself all those great questions. You next want, and everything's looking good, you're ready to apply, your project's ready to apply. What do you do next? So you want to reach out, as been so many times already spoken about, reach out to us, discuss your project with Creative Saskatchewan, make sure that it's a fit for the program and it's the right time. It'll save you time in the long run. You want, everything is done online, applications and reporting. So you want to start up an account. If you go to creativesas.ca and you go to the Film and Television Production Grant, there'll be a big button called Apply Now, and that'll take you to our grant, online grant management system. We call it GMS for short, and you'll want to start an account online. Applications must be complete to be accepted and assessed. So if there is anything missing, you might get a note from us saying, hey, there's some more information that we need, and you'll get a message going, information required, and then you can submit with those required documents. Just some tips about how to apply. When you're looking at your Saskatchewan spend, you're requested to have your budget, and your budget has to have columns that break out the Saskatchewan spend and any other provinces outside Saskatchewan or outside Canada if you're doing an international co-production. So I just gave a little bit of an example here. You've got, this is taken from a telefilm template. We've just added a column, Saskatchewan spend, and then another column, other province or countries spend. And you just break out what you're spending in the province and what you're not spending in the province. And this will help you answer a lot of the questions in the application. And we do appreciate this does take time to go through all of that, but these estimates are important because that's what the grant is based on. I encourage you to check out the economic impact tab in the application. You'll be asked things like, what's the total spend on labor? What's the total spend on Saskatchewan labor? How many crew are you employing? How many Saskatchewan crew people are employed? When you look at that tab and understand what we're looking for, it'll help you when you're going through your budget and adding that column for the Saskatchewan spend. For those of you who maybe applied to the program in previous years, we used to have a form called the Economic Impact A form. This is now part of the application online. So all that data is captured in your online application, and there's no longer a form for you to attach to your application. So you want to get familiar, get your online account, look through those questions, get familiar with the information that you're going to be providing. And again, questions are going to come up. You know what to do. Call Creative Sask or email Creative Sask. We are happy to answer all of those questions. Another tip is having your chain of title and development history in order. Depending on the project, this can be quite loud, so quite long, sorry. So you want to make sure that everything is in order and you have the necessary rights to produce and exploit the project. We do ask for a development history, and the development history is really just a point form list of all the chain of title agreements. It helps the program team understand who owns the project and how the project evolved. And it also helps us go through all the chain of title agreements. So we really appreciate a development history. Now, if you're applying to the service stream as a service producer, you will not have to provide a development history for that under that stream. This is just for the Saskatchewan stream. Unsure, any questions that come up during completing applications, can't say it enough, contact us. We love geeking out on guidelines. It's our main part of the job. So please call us and or email us. We try to be accessible as much as possible. Just a note, remember Creative Sask staff does not give out business or creative advice. And trust me, you don't want us giving you creative advice, but we will help you through guidelines, any questions to get through navigating our systems, but we do not give business advice. We will not tell you how to set up corporations or how to do chain of title documents. That is not our role. Our role is to help you through understanding the guidelines and questions that we need to assess your applications with. But we do work closely with Cynthia, as Leo said off the top. Cynthia does a lot of professional development, crew training. There's a lot of opportunity to get together and network, and I can't say enough. So if you don't know about Cynthia, please reach out to them. They're a great resource in the Saskatchewan film and television industry. Okay, that was a lot of talking. Hopefully some of that made sense. Hopefully it gets you excited to read guidelines and to look at our programs and give it a closer look, and to engage with us and talk to us about all these exciting things coming for the province of Saskatchewan. And one of those exciting things that are happening in Saskatchewan is the NSI crew training program. And I'm going to hand it over to I believe Joy at NSI to talk about the programming in this exciting initiative. I'm just going to pull this up here, Joy, for you, and I will hand it to you.
Nice, thank you, Toby. I can feel the excitement. I hear it in your voice, but it's the energy is vibrating over the live stream here. There's a lot of really good things happening in Saskatchewan, and we're thrilled to be joining you in this moment. My name, as Toby said, to everyone watching may not know, is Joy Lowen, and I'm the CEO at the National Screen Institute. We provide all sorts of training to producers, writers, directors across the country, and this, though, is the first time we are launching a program for more than just producers, writers, directors. It is to train crew. I'm thrilled to be joined by Leslie Oswald, who is the program manager, who's really the creative genius behind the program that we're piloting here in Saskatchewan. Leslie, I see you on screen now. Hello, nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Before Leslie says a few words, I just want to share that this program has been in the development pot at the National Screen Institute for a very long time. We too have heard the need across the country in regions everywhere of just the deep need to train more individuals for on-set production. And wanting to do things, not wanting to overlap, we have debuted a program that we feel is very much rooted in the National Screen Institute tradition of developing storytellers, because even though you may not be one of those producer, writer, director titles, your role as part of the crew is a very important one to the creative process. So we're going to build off of the NSI roots of story, and everything starts with story. But take you round the process through what happens when the story comes to production. And the program will launch. The applications are open right now, and will be until Thursday, May 12th at noon. It's not a lengthy application, but it does require some time. So if you are interested, please do go to the NSI-Canada.ca website programs. The site is up on the screen right now. Go there, check it out, and apply. The intake for this program is 20 participants, so it's a fairly large intake. But like I say, it does have a cutoff. So, and as soon as we'll get the applications in, we'll go through a jury process and a selection process to select the participants, and then training actually begins very soon. It's a two-phase training program. The online training is a series of courses that you'll take to prepare you for on-set, which would be phase 2, and that was in person. Hello, we get to do things in person again, and so we are looking forward to being in the room with you, with the participants that are selected. And, you know, it's a 6 days of very intense, you know, some skill building. You'll meet a lot of the different unions and crew, and we'll be guided through some of the skills. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Leslie, because she's been working on the curriculum and with faculty. And Leslie, do you want to just share a little bit about what you're planning?
Sure. Thanks, Joy. So what we're planning is kind of springing off from where the producers financed it and got a director on board, and the writers almost finished the script, and the production office opens. So when that happens, the logistical, and I like to say creatively logistical, because all filmmaking and all people on a set need to use their brain and their creativity to tell this story. That's when we all get a chance as crew to catch the vision of that director and that producer and that writer and move it forward into an actual nuts and bolts product at the end of post-production. So we've got a little 6-scene script that we're going to put on its feet and have everybody break into a couple of teams and have everybody get a chance to be different positions on a crew and shoot this. We're going to shoot it just with an iPhone. We're going to not get technical, because that's not what we're trying to learn here. We're trying to learn the process of filmmaking, which is exciting. I think the most exciting job that anybody can have, but I'm a little biased. So we're going to just use iPhones. And then we're going to cut it on iMovie, make it really simple. And like I say, it's not the end product here that we're going for. It's the process of getting to that end product. Filmmaking is a series of, I like to say, opportunities. Some people would say problems. And it's up to the crew at all levels to solve those problems. So that's what we're going to play with. And intermixed in that is a bunch of talking and a bunch of you know, PowerPoint things and all of that. But it's, I think, also going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. So I hope to see you there, and I hope you're interested in coming into the film industry. And it's always exciting to see a province getting the film back into it. So congratulations, Saskatchewan, on that. That's it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Joy.
Thank you, Leslie. And here to, you know, getting your crew back, and supporting to Creative Saskatchewan and Simpia for supporting productions by financing, but also through training and ensuring that there is skilled and able-bodied crew that's ready to play. As Leslie said, this is certainly an industry of creativity and fun, and at the same time, it is a real career. There is lots of opportunities, as Leslie mentioned, and what we're hoping in this program is to provide an entryway, a gentle introduction for you to best learn the process, as Leslie's saying, and also to find out where in that process you might fit. So there is a field of opportunity here, and it's not just about taking in the training and absorbing. We recognize that this is happening during the workday, and that this would take you away from day jobs and such like this. So coming out of the program on day 6, not only will you celebrate and screen the scene that you shot, we'll also provide you with a certificate that gives you evidence that you did this program, as well as a stipend of $600 that just helps to acknowledge the time that was spent here and the real job nature of this, as well as help offset any costs and expenses that you may have had during the course of the week. So, like I say, the application is now up. The deadline is fast approaching. There is still time though. So I do encourage you to, at the very least, check out the website to see more details about the program. The eligibility requirements are such that we wanted to keep it really general so that as many people as possible can try their hand at this. You must be 18, you must be a Canadian citizen or a resident. I'll leave with, this is a very special moment in time for Saskatchewan, and we at the National Screen Institute are just so privileged to be walking this road with you as you refresh, re-energize the industry there, and really look forward to walking hand in hand with the participants in this program and those to come in ways that help support career development as well as economy and job growth. So thank you, Creative Saskatchewan and Simpia, for allowing us to journey this path with you.
Well, thank you, Joy and Leslie. That's just amazing. It's a pretty exciting opportunity for us as well. So thank you for all your work and the excitement. We can feel it as well. So thank you for joining us today and coming up in May. With that, I will open it up to questions. Just see if I can there we go. So I did receive one question in regards to the increase. The $10 million increase is program specific. The $10 million is being injected into production. So that money does not go towards development programs or travel grants. It's specifically for production. Someone did have a question about that. So I hope that answers that question. We've got a question here about priority projects and how that works. Basically, although I listed drama first, I know when you talk about priority, that's actually not like, I didn't put it in priority. Those are all the priorities. So it's about economic impact for the province. So it doesn't matter if it's a documentary, it doesn't matter if it's an animated series or a feature film. It's about the economics for the province. All of those things listed on that slide, those are all priorities for us. There's no outline, no hierarchy of feature film, television, or whatnot. It's about economic impact for the province. So I hope that that helps, that it's not genre based. It's all of those. It's about job creation, about economic impact, not about genre or any type of feature film or comparing to television series or whatnot. So I hope that answers those two questions. I also just wanted to give a note with the NSI project. We have a lot of producers, I believe, joining us today. Producers may not be interested in the crew training, but you might have a lot of people that you know that could benefit and be really excited about the opportunity of working on crew. So if you know anybody that might benefit from the NSI crew training, please send them NSI's way or just send them a little message because the deadline is coming up soon. So I just plug that out to the producers on this webinar to share that information. I don't see, are there any more questions? Leos, do you have any for me that, you know, if it seemed unclear, because I know you've done a lot of production in the province, did that kind of make sense to you, or did you leave you with a few questions?
I think there are a couple of them in the chat, so I just noticed that if you want to look at
yeah,
the chat.
I did. I think I got them in the chat. Is there a different chat, Megan? Am I looking in the wrong place?
Some people are asking questions in the chat, and then there's a couple Q&A feature as well. If you can put them in the Q&A, that's easier for us, but it doesn't, we can catch them in the chat too.
Okay, well, I wasn't catching them in the chat, so I apologize for that. I was catching them in the Q&A. So the economic impact, that's going to be, we're working out the language on priority economic impact. So that language is going to be on our website soon. We will be putting more information through our Spotlight e-newsletter. So if you haven't signed up for Spotlight, please do. We put everything out there first, and it'll be on our website as well. This is a new venture for us too. So these rollouts take a little bit of time, but the clarification and language is going to be coming. We hope that everything will be out next week. So stay tuned for that. And if there are questions, you can always reach out to us as well. I have another question about indicators about economic impact, and that is coming for, will be out soon. But as I alluded to, it's about Saskatchewan spend, it's about number of jobs and the impact that the project is bringing to Saskatchewan. And like I say, language is forthcoming for that. We've got a question about corporations. For this program, for the feature film and television production grant, you do have to be incorporated. And it is up to the producer. I'm just looking at the question here. You can have a parent company apply, and then when you become, if you're doing a single purpose company, then we can assign the agreements over to the single purpose. I might be getting in the weeds here. I can see Aaron going too much in the weeds. But basically, you have to be a corporation. Your parent company can apply if you meet the eligibility. And then if you decide to set up a single purpose company, we have mechanisms to deal with that. So that is totally fine. Industry standard. I have another question. So indie filmmaking, there's a question about, do you have any programs for indie filmmaking that don't fit the production grant? I'm guessing like if you are doing an indie model where perhaps you don't have a market trigger in place yet. Currently, we've got the music video production grant, which will be, the new deadlines will be announced in the fall. But right now, in terms of indie filmmaking where you don't have a market trigger, there's currently not a program available. So I think that answers that one. But there are a lot of great organizations like the Saskatchewan Film Pool, Paved Arts. Also, like I mentioned with Sympia, they have a lot of professional development and training and networking events that you might be able to connect with people as you build up your budget and as your indie film grows. I hope that answers that question. Just trying, there's a question here that I don't quite understand, but I'll get back to that. So there's a question about if your project is fully funded, can you apply to Creative Saskatchewan to expand your budget for the program? Yes, if you're fully funded and you're meet the criteria of the program and the eligibility, you can apply to Creative Saskatchewan for the production grant and expand your budget. The answer, I believe, is yes, if I understand the question correctly. I have a question. The program is now open for the feature film and television production program. It is open and you can start your applications online. All right. Okay, well, you know where to find us, creativesas.ca. Call us, send us an email. We're happy to geek out on guidelines and help you navigate the system. Guess maybe I'll pass it over to Leos just to say goodbye. And then
yeah, that was great. I would just say from a producer standpoint, always consult with people at Creative Saskatchewan or CMF, Telfin when you're doing those applications, because they do get complex and things are constantly changing. So it's always good to give a phone call, talk to them, or do a Zoom meeting, whatever, if you're in Regina, and always ask questions. Never be afraid to ask questions, because it's always tough to know. And I also would just mention, just from a Sympia perspective and also from a producer perspective, if you're more of an emerging producer, you can always try to reach out to some more of the experienced people that have gone through the application process, and it can always provide you some tips and some ways so you don't get bogged down by the process. It's always good to talk to people who have experience. just an advice for those on the call that are more emerging. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Joy and Leslie from the NSI. It's a great program for Below the Line. I took a program a few years ago for producers, and many of us in Saskatchewan have done that in the past. So it's good to see Below the Line training. And thanks again for Tobi for taking us to the workshop. And again, if you have any questions, like I said, reach out to Creative Saskatchewan, reach out to Cynthia, and let's get some productions in Saskatchewan going. Thanks, everyone.